Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. Today's Daf Yomi is Kesubos Tzadivav. We are right on top of the Amud and picking up where we left off yesterday. We started a Mishnah of the new Perek, that an Almana is Nizoines Menichse Yisayim. Right? An Almana is sustained, she gets her Mizoines from the Yisayim's assets. We had a question regarding semantics, spelling. The second word in the Mishnah, Nizoines. Is it such, Nizoines, which indicates it's a constant, it's an absolute halacha. Almana Nizoines Menichse Yisayim. Unless, of course, she gets paid up to Ksuba, that's her decision. It's her prerogative. But the Yisayim must feed her without a choice. It's not up to them. Or is it ha-nizoines? We add the hey, which indicates that it's arbitrary. It's up to them. If they choose, they can just, pay her the ksuba, and it's over. No more mizoines, which is actually a machlekes we had way back when between the Anshe Golil and the Anshe Yehuda. So the question is, what did the Stam Mishnah, the anonymous Mishnah, have in mind, which would indicate the actual halacha? Says the Gemara Tashma, and come. Listen to this ra'aya. Typically, what a wife finds, a mitzia, goes to her husband. Look, he takes care of her, he feeds her. It's only right that she gives him what she finds. But a mitzia of an almana, la'atzma, she keeps. Stop. End of halacha in the name of Shmuel. Now, let's analyze the halacha. Why are we treating an almana different than a married woman? Here as well. It's not the husband feeding, but the husband's assets. The kids are taking care of her. Why don't they deserve the mitzvah? Okay, that works well if we added the hey. It's arbitrary. It's up to them. They're not really bound and committed to her mizoines. And therefore, we don't treat it like a husband and wife relationship. She keeps the mitzvah. Eli amras ni zoines tanan, but if it's absolute, it's not up to them. They must feed her until she decides to leave. Then nehavu kibal, let us treat it like a husband and wife, and therefore ma'abal mitzias isha labal, just by a married couple. Her mitzia goes to her husband. The chanam here as well. They're feeding her, taking care of her. Mitzias isha liyarshim. What she finds should go over to them. Answer: Lo'ilam emelacha. Perhaps I'll say nizayin istnan, which indicates that it is an absolute arrangement. They have to keep on feeding her without any way of backing out, other than her agreeing to leave. Question is, why doesn't she forward any findings to them? What about the mitzvah? The answer is Tama Mai. Omar Abana Metzias Ishalabala. Truth to be told, what is the reason, the actual time why Chachamim established this arrangement? That what an Isha finds goes to her husband, so that it doesn't generate a feeling of animosity, of contention. Look, I'm taking care of you. It's only right for you to give me something that you find. That's typical, right? But over here, with the Yisayimim, they're not husband and wife, and there's no issue of Eva. Rashi says they're forced to give her mizonis in any case. There's a Tanai Kesubos compelling them to do that. We're not concerned about Eva getting in the way of them taking care of her. There's no need for her to give them her mitzvah. Rabbi Yehuda. Now that we say that the Yisayim have to feed the Isha, even if it's not their mother, their stepmother, it's only right that she looks after the household, as per the halacha of a regular Isha back on the Fnontes. Kol melachos Isha oisa labal, all those household chores and tasks that typically a woman does in the home, cooking, baking, etc., due to the fact that he's taking care of her and he's feeding her. Likewise, an almana, oisa l'yarshim, and a almana will perform for the yarshim, take care of the house, except for specific, things that a wife deliberately does for her husband to generate dearness and closeness. Chutz mizigas hakayis, serving their drinks, vatzas amita, making their beds, v'chutzas panav yad v'raglav, washing hands and feet. So that's specific to a wife for her husband. It brings chiba and hergel davar, but is inappropriate when it comes to the Yisayim. Omar B'Shum Alevi, on the topic of serving a husband, etc. Kol melachos she'eved oiseh l'Rabbi. Any tasks that a slave typically performs for his master, Talmud oiseh l'Rabbi, likewise a student will do for his Rebbe, to show honor and respect. Except chutz me'atoras minol, except for taking off his shoes. That's totally demeaning. And Rashi says, somebody looking at that will think, well, this fellow is an Eved Kanani, a non-Jewish slave, and therefore we don't allow a Talmud to do that for his Rebbe. Amar Rava, that's only a concern if he's not a known personality. So they might think that he's an Eved. But if he's in a town where everybody knows, well, this fellow is a regular Yid, less than above, there's no concern for being confused with an Eved. Amar Rashi, furthermore, even if they don't know this person firsthand, there still will not be a concern unless he's not wearing his tefillin. But if he's walking around with his tefillin, but there's no concern, because Rashi and Tais is supposed to learn that an Eved typically does not wear tefillin, so it's pretty clear who he is. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Kessler, if a Rebbe is uncomfortable, he doesn't want his Talmud to serve him. Look, I'm managing, don't want to burden you. You're not doing him a favor. It's a schus for him. Sometimes it's a chesed to offer, and sometimes it's a chesed to receive an offering. You're doing him a favor. So if he's moineya, if he prevents his Talmud from being meshameshim, ki'ilu moineya mimenu chesed, it is as though he is withholding from him a favor. Shenamar lamas mere'eu, if he distances himself from his friend, from his Talmud, doesn't allow him to serve him, chesed, he is preventing him from having chesed. In this case, taking is actually a favor. Rav Nachmar Yitzchak Amar Av Perek Mimenu Yiras Shamayim. He's not allowing him to have proper Yiras Shamayim, which comes when he services and he gets close to his Rebbe. Shenamar V'yiras Shaka Yazai, if he abandons Yiras Shamayim. Amar Belazar, on a different topic. Almana Shatafsa Metaltlin B'Mezaynes. So, an Almana would like to have, her mezaynes, and it's after her husband's passing, and she grabs hold of some metaltlin to post for her mezaynes, to sell off her mezaynes. Masha tafsa, that's it. She has it, it's hers. And Rashi points out, even though the halacha is that when it comes to these claims, you can only claim from karka, which is typically, real estate is something which typically the people depend on, and that's the item of the shibud that's committed to you. But if you grab metaltlin, you got it. Tani we find the same in a Bryce. Almana shetafsa metaltlin b'mezaynes. What happens then? Masha tafsa, it's hers. V'chen ki Rav Dimi, he said the same halacha. Amar, in fact, there was a story to back this up. Masa b'kalosei, there was a story involving the daughter-in-law Shel Rab Shapsai. Shetafsa, she was an almana, and she got a hold of diskia, a leather pouch. Malaya May is filled with coins for the sake of her mezaynos. Chachamim were unable to take it away from her. Amra Avina v'lei Amar, this is only true for the sake of buying mezaynos, because she can't go to lekuches, she can't go to customers who have purchased her husband's properties, because, as we learned way back, mezaynos is something undefined, it's open-ended, it's not a defined amount. It's unfair to hold the customers of her husband's properties accountable for this type of claim. So in this case, we allow her to keep something which she grabbed. Awal ksuba, but if she grabbed something to pay for her ksuba, something which she can easily go and extract properties that were sold, mafkidim, we know we take it away from her. Maskefla mar baravashi, he has the kasha on this distinction. Why is it that when it comes to ksuba, you don't let her keep the metaltlin, because a ksuba claim is directed at mekarka? That's the typical claim. Real estate, you can't just allow it to keep metaltlin. Well, mezaynos nami, mekarki v'le metaltlin, typically mezaynos is meant to be claimed from real estate, not metaltlin. Oh, so why are you making that difference between one and the other? Elul mezayni my the tafsa. Oh, so that's lachatchila, but once she has the metaltlin, if it's mezayni, you let her keep it. Hachanami l'ksuba, likewise for ksuba payout, if she's already holding the metaltlin, leave it by her. What is the halacha? Amalei Rav Yitzchak ben Naftali l'Ravina, he tells Ravina, who was the one that made that distinction. You can grab from Mezainis, but not for Ksuba. In fact, Hachi Amrinan, Mishmed Rava Kavaseich. In fact, we heard in the name of Rava, exactly as you said, Tvisa is effective for Mezainis, because there isn't really another recourse. She can't go to the Lekuches, so Tvisa works, but not by Ksuba. Here comes a Chiddush. Amar B'Yechnan, Mishmed Rav Yesi ben Zimra. So you have an Almana who is meant to get Mezainis. Problem is, she didn't bother collecting her Mezainis. It's already 2-3 years gone by. Sheshasa, she waited around. Shtayim v'shalei shanim v'lo tava Mezainis. It's already 2-3 years after death. We don't hear anything from her. She's not claiming Mezainis. We assume Ibda Mezainis, she lost it, she gave it up. Why don't you say anything? Asks the Gemara, 2 or 3? Hashta shtayim Ibda Kesubos. If 2 years already gives her this halacha, she loses the Ksuba, the Mezainis, Sholosh Mibaya. It goes without saying, why do you have to say 2 or 3? If 2 does the trick, then certainly if it's longer than 2, 3, like Kasha, the answer is it depends what kind of situation we're speaking about. Sometimes 2 is applicable, sometimes 3. Kam be'aniya, when we say 2 years, that's by a poor woman. Why do you wait so long? Apparently, you were uncaring about that claim. Kam ba'ashira, if she's a wealthy woman, who was able to sort of last it out. So until 3 years, there's no raya that she was meicher. Inami, another pshat. Kam be'prutza, kam be'tsnua. If she was a modest woman, she's uncomfortable going to Bezdin, so then we give her 3 years to gather courage. Until then, we don't assume she forgave it. But if it's a prutza, Isha is not bashful, then what are you doing keeping quiet? You should have come to Bezdin to collect. 2 years, no collection, it's over. Amarav. Loy amaran el mafreya. This forgiving of Mezainis pertains only to back claims. Avala bo yeshla, but certainly going forward, she can get up and say, look, I'm still Na'amana, you owe me the Mezainis, let's go for it, going forward. Boy Rabbi Yehuda. Here comes an interesting question. Yisoimim oimrim nosanenu. Rashi learns. Yisoimim claim, look, we gave you an advance payment for the next year of Mezainis. We gave it to you already. And she denies. What are you talking about? I never got it. Al Mila Haviraya, who's going to have to prove their point? Typically, the one who wants to get paid has to prove his case. He is the Maitzi Mechaveri. Well, over here, we're not sure how to deal with it. Who is the Muchsak? Who's the one that's sort of in possession of this claim? Shall we say Nichsei, the possessions, the assets, Becheskas Yasmi Kaimi, is in the hands of the Yisaimim, Val Almana Lahaviraya, and she has to go prove her point. She's trying to take out of them. Oidilmo, perhaps you can say otherwise. Nichsi, the husband's assets, Becheskas Almana Kaimi, are truthfully in the hands of the Almana. She has the strong claim. Taisus explains, it's an ongoing claim. You have to feed me. It's a known fact that I am due Mezainis. I don't have to verify my claim against you. Just the opposite. You have to prove that you're exempt, that you're a potter. Tashmai comes a raya. The Tani Levi. Almana, well, it depends whether she remarried or not. Calls man shalinisis. She hadn't yet remarried, and she's still a subject of this claim. She can still have mezainos. Then, if there's any disagreement, the Yisoimim have to verify their claim. She is in the right. Nisis, once she remarried, and she no longer has the right to collect the ksuba. So in that case, she's trying to claim some back pay. Oleha laviraya, she has to prove her case because they are not considered in full possession. She's already lost her mezainis rights going further. So even when she's back claiming, it's incumbent upon her to prove her case. Perhaps this question of whether she has to prove or they have to prove is a machlekes tanoi. Here goes a price. So the Isha, the Almana, would like to, sell some properties for the ksuba, for the mezainos, meicheres, she can sell, the Kesubos. She has to keep a detailed record. Elu lemezainos macharti, these properties I sold for mezainos. Ve'elu l'ksuba macharti, these for the ksuba. Everything has to be detailed with clarity. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, no, meicheres v'Kesubos stam. All she has to do is sell. She doesn't have to actually write into the document, I sold it for this or that purpose. Stam, undefined, undesignated. And it's better for her. It's to her benefit. That's the best way for her. End of price. What's the machlekes? Why take records? Why not? My love, shall we assume, the point of Machlekes is as follows. Our very question. Rabbi Yehuda the Ba'amar, boy lefrushi. Rabbi Yehuda who maintains that she has to detail into the document what the purpose of the sale is, because that's going to substantiate the purpose of the sale. He figures, Savar, nichsi becheskas yasmi kaimi. We treat the nechasim as though they are in full possession. They are in the possession of the Yisraelim. The Yisraelim are in full possession of what's going on here. And should there be any disagreement between the Yisraelim and the Almana, who has to prove their claim? The Almana. V'al halmana laviraya. She has to bring a raya. And therefore, what does this have to do with detailing the transactions? Rashi explains. Because otherwise, eventually when she wants to come and claim Mazonos, you know what the Yisraelim can tell her? What do you mean? You already sold off properties. You got your Kesuba. Once you got your Kesuba, that's it. No more Mazonos. That's the halacha. You're done. And she'll say, well, okay, fine. But remember, we still have an account. We have a balance. You still owe me for past Mazonos. They'll say, what do you mean? We gave it to you already. There's no way for her to disprove them. Therefore, she should detail. She should describe in the actual documents what she's selling and why she's selling it for. This way she can say, look, no, I sold this for Mazonos. I never got paid up my Kesuba. What are you talking about? So it's to her benefit to actually detail the purpose of the sale into the shtar. Otherwise, they'll win the case. Rabbi Yossi disagrees. She's in the right. Rabbi Yossi savar loy boy lefrushi. There's no need for her to describe and explain why she's selling things. Why? At the end of the day, she'll win the case regardless. She's the muhsik. Nichsi becheskas amana kaimi. Everything is considered in her hands. Vala yisoymim lavirai, and they have to prove it otherwise. Says the Gemara. Perhaps we don't have to hinge this discussion between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi on our question of who is the muhsik. Perhaps everybody would agree that if there's any disagreement, the almana is the muhsik, and she's in the right. They have to disprove her claim. So why is Rabbi Yehuda requiring her to keep a detailed record of the transactions? Nothing too serious. Rabbi Yehuda Eitza Tova Kamashmalan. He's just trying to give her some good advice. So that people don't consider her a gluttonous woman. They won't want to remarry her. They'll say, wow, you sold all that stuff for Mazonos. Wow, you eat a lot. So it's better for her if she details, if she describes, well, this is for Mazonos, the other thing was towards the Kesuba. This way, they realize it's not all for food. That's all. Because if you don't agree with me that this is the reason for the detailing of the records, it's just for to her benefit, for good advice. It doesn't have any legal ramification. If you don't agree with this theory, I have a question for you. This question posed to Rabbi Yehuda. Who's in possession and who's the one extracting, right? Who's the muhsik? Well, guess what? I can have a clear raya to this question from a Mishnah. A Mishnah everybody knows. Why was Rabbi Yehuda even questioning this halach? Mishnah says, an isha who needs to be fed, she can take properties, sell them off, even outside of Bezdin. She has a right to do that, and she keeps a ledger. I sold these assets for Mazonos. A clear Mishnah instructs her to keep records. It would seem from here, if, in fact, keeping of records is pertinent in a legal context, in order to prove her case, then you have your answer to your question from a Mishnah. She's the one that has to prove her claim. They are the muhsik. So why did Rabbi Yehuda even present this question? It's a Mishnah. Oh, so apparently you can't draw any conclusions from this Mishnah. True, we're telling her to keep a detailed record just for good advice, so that we know she hadn't really, spent too much on Mazonos. Here as well, when it comes to our brisa, perhaps the reason why Rabbi Yehuda requires detailing is just as an Eitz Teva, but it's unrelated to our question. Inami, here comes another pshat in machlekes. Don't say it's dependent upon this question of who the muhsik is. No. The kuli alma nichsi becheskas yasmi kaimi. Perhaps Everybody, even Rabbi Yossi, would agree that the Yisayim are considered the Muchsakim, and if she wants to take, she has to prove her case. V'hainu time the Rabbi Yossi, why then does Rabbi Yossi say, just keep it vague, sell, but you don't have to detail? K'dabai Keshisha. It's based and it's related to something that Abai Keshisha tells us in a different context. That it's best to keep things undefined and, unspecified. The Amar Abai Keshisha tells us like this. Mashal de Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi tells the Isha just to sell stam. Don't explain why you're selling it. Don't detail it into the document. You know what that's analogous to? You know what the mashal to that to? You know what the comparison to that is? Mashal de Rabbi Yossi. What is it comparable to? Another halach. L'shchimra, person on his deathbed. She'amar, he announces as follows. There's a fellow that I owe money to, a Baal Chayv. Tnu masayim zuz lepleni Baal Chayvi. I have this Baal Chayv, give him 200 zuz. Now, according to Rashi, we can perhaps speculate that he wanted to give him a gift. He wasn't just trying to pay up his debt. So now the Baal Chayv, he has the prerogative. He can decide to take this 200 zuz as part of his chayv, towards the loan, or he can say, look, no, this is my gift. The chayv, the debt, well, I'll collect that from the departed fellow's customers, from that real estate, from those properties. Ratza b'chayv, and if he wishes, he can take the 200 zuz, the actual money that's sitting here, towards his debt, post it towards the debt. Ratza, if he wishes, no, b'matanat noitlon, he can just take it as a gift. Why? Because if he chooses to take it as a gift and he still leaves the entire debt balance outstanding, isn't that better for him? Because he can collect that from the lekuches, from the customers. You can't collect a gift from lekuches. So by taking this towards the matana and allowing the loan to remain fully outstanding, that allows him to go collect from properties that were sold, that's better for him. Likewise, in our case, says Abai Keshisha, the best thing is for the Isha to sell without explaining, without detailing why she's selling it. Why? Because, true, when it comes to her disagreement with the Yisayim, she'll have to prove that it was for Mazonis. But when it comes to the Lekuches, it's better for her to leave it undefined. Because then she could just tell the customers, look, these things that I sold, that was for, daily my daily fare, that was for my food. And I'm coming to you for the ksuba, because as we explained before, only ksuba can be extracted from customers, from the kuches. So once she leaves it undefined, she has that advantage. She can choose to consider her sales, what she sold, consider that for the mazonis needs, and that allows her to go to the lekuches to collect for the ksuba, because if she, describes the sale as a sale for ksuba, then she won't be able to go back to lekuches to collect, because you can't collect mazonis from lekuches. So it seems from the first that she's sort of selling it in an undefined way. I'm just selling it whatever I need it for. And ultimately she can sort of channel that sale towards the mazonis and allow the entire ksuba balance to be drawn from the lekuches, which is her right. Okay, so what do we learn today? We start with the halacha that an Isha gives her mitzvah to the husband to avoid Eva, but by the Alman and the Yisayim, that's not an issue. The Almana should perform household chores, just like an Isha to her husband. Fact is, she's being supported by the family, but we exclude those specific things which create chiba and closeness. The Talmud is meant to serve as Rebbe, and the Rebbe is meant to accept that service. It's actually a favor it's a chesed for the Talmud. It brings them to the Yirah Shammai. So the Almana grabbed some things for the Mazonos, it works. What about for the Ksuba? According to Rava, according to Ravina, it does not work, because she could just go collect from the Lekuches for that purpose. We learned that an Almana waits 2 or 3 years, she gives up on the Mazonos, going back, but of course going forward she can still collect. We had a question presented by Rabbi Yehuda, who's considered the Muchsak if there's any disagreement as per the Mazonos. Right, and we had a brisa which seemed to be hinging on this question, and we pushed it aside. No, the brisa between Rabbi Yisrael and Rabbi Yehuda revolves around different questions and unrelated to our shaila. Perhaps all agree that the Almana is the Muchsak, perhaps all agree that the Yisayim are the Muchsak, and it seems that we still leave our question unanswered. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha Rabbah.